Hey everybody, it's Atheist for the Cause here with another video for you, and this one is about the terrorist attack today in Manchester at the Ariana Grande concert. And I wanted to go over kind of a review of how the information came in. I think that's important. And also just to give you some different points, hopefully, that you haven't seen. So first I want to get the number for anybody seeking family members of victims or possible victims. It's 0161-856-9400. That's 0160-856-9400. Okay, so let's go to Breitbart, London. They said 19 dead, 50 plus injured after reports of explosions at UK Ariana Grande concert. 19 people have been confirmed dead and around 50 others are injured following reports of multiple explosions after an Ariana Grande concert in Manchester in the north of England on Monday evening. And this is kind of like their little summary of the result of everything. Is Greater Manchester Police originally said there had been a number of fatalities and others injured at the Manchester Arena where Grammy-nominated pop singer Ariana Grande was performing. 19 people were confirmed dead as of 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Eyewitness accounts posted to social media show convoys of ambulances moving to the center of Manchester as thousands of music fans fled the Manchester Evening News Arena. Alright, so early on, basically, when we go through these updates, you're going to see that people are downplaying the possibility of terrorism. That's not terrorism. And, it's not always a bad thing to do that early. But you always have to be open to the possibility that it is. And we do actually have some evidence that it is terror. And, it pretty much has been confirmed that it was a terror attack. So, here's Tommy Robinson, and he linked it because people were doubting terror early on. He said, "I suppose this man is on about the speaker or balloon that popped." And then you click the link, and you get this.
In the name of Allah, the merciful, the grateful, this is only the beginning. The lions of the Islamic State of Iraq and Sham are beginning to attack all the crusaders. Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar.
So, pretty clear by that it was an Islamic State attack. Now, I'm going to throw in real quickly so that I can get past it. Just fuck you, independent. What they have to say, there's only one way Britain should respond to attacks such as Manchester. That is by carrying on exactly as before. Seriously, fuck you. I mean, I read the article. I'm not going to go through it on here. You can go through it if you want. Most of it, the article's not as bad as the title. But why would you title it like that? The article's basically saying they're trying to put fear into us through terror attacks, so don't be scared. But we need to change this mindset, in Western society. But here's in England, but I'm in the United States. It needs to change everywhere. That, especially in places like Sweden too, and Germany, that that Islam isn't special, basically, that Islam isn't doing far more terror attacks and isn't jihadis aren't at war with us. They are. Even if we don't recognize that we're in a war, they are still, declaring a war on us. It only takes one side to have a war. That's the truth. It doesn't take two sides. Think about a fight. If someone wants to fight you, and if you don't fight back, and they just come up and punch you, it doesn't matter how peaceful you are. If they just keep punching you and punching you, you're in a fight. You may not recognize that you're in a fight, but you are. And so people better wake up. And so I agree, for the most part with actions, we do have to continue to act, or continue to live out our daily lives as we normally would. But at the same time, we have to change our mental state to fit the situation. We have to recognize the threat and deal with it. So let's go down to these updates, and there's a lot of them, so this video might get a little long, but going back through these, I think, is a very useful exercise to see how information does come in. Original story follows. Greater Manchester Police and the local NHS Trust confirmed that they had responded to a serious incident and the Manchester Arena and urged members of the public to stay clear of the area. Manchester's Victoria Railway Station has been evacuated and all lines closed, both mainline services and local Metrolink trams. National Rail said in a statement that disruption is expected to continue until the end of the day. If you are going to a concert or something, in the West, we know that terror attacks can happen. It's best to have some sort of plan, if something like this does happen. And you can't, one thing to note is you can't plan on taking public transportation home, because public transportation is going to be the first thing shut down. And then this is just, right after the attack, people leaving. You can see the instant panic and fear. They knew pretty quickly that something was wrong. Seriously wrong. Then we go on. Here's a bomb disposal unit that was entering the arena. And keep in mind the timeline. So, this is at, they don't have a time for the original post, but this is at 1924. So, that's 7:24 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Then we go 6 minutes later. Eyewitness David Richardson is quoted by the Manchester Evening News. The lights come on after the gig and people were starting to leave. As I turned to the left, there was an explosion. It was about 40 feet behind us near one of the exits. We just thought it was people messing around. About then it happened again. Another explosion sounded. Then we saw the smoke. Everyone just fled. Some people were injured. We saw blood on people when we got outside. People were just running all over the place. People have said it was a speaker or balloons, but it wasn't. It was just explosions. So there's some misinformation early. That's usually expected. Now people are coming in to kind of clear up some of that information. And, keep in mind how these attacks are, how this bomb is explained. We're going to see 3 or 4 different explanations, and they're all going to be slightly different, but they explain basically the same thing. That's pretty common. So we move on, and this is 18 minutes later. A little bit of a gap. Eyewitness Chiara Dauber has told CNN, there's a massive, massive explosion, a bang. There was a smoke coming up through the steps. Everyone was screaming and shouting. It could be a bomb. People were screaming for their kids. There were bodies scattered about everywhere. We were just running through the road. It was just chaos. You could see people were just dead, passed away. There was a lot of blood. Explosion at Manchester Arena, and everyone ran out. So scary. And look at looks like a possibly young girl. And keep in mind that children are, and there's a comment about kids. Children are the main people who go to an Ariana concert. So this was a targeted attack on children. This is after the attack, obviously. And you can see the panic. You could kind of see that people were actually being reasonable about leaving and not shoving each other out. And that's good to see because, trampling can always occur and can lead to more deaths than necessary. Then we go, this is 22 minutes later. Police reported 19 dead, 50 plus injured. Then we go to 15 minutes later. CBS reports a large group of young girls are amongst those dead. Various news outlets are also now reporting the possibility of the explosions containing nails, which has not yet been confirmed by local authorities. CBS News confirms a large group of young girls are among the... this is by David Bignod. So, he reported that. So, these are some signs if you're looking for victims or something like that, especially early in a scenario like this. Say you're the parents that got together a big party of young girls. You have to look for explanations of demographics like this. There are lots of hints out there that can show you that possibly your people that are in danger, or were victims or not victims. 10 minutes later, police are performing controlled explosions in the area. So basically what this shows you is, the police will usually tell you that if you hear an explosion, you should be worried, because the police will tell you when you shouldn't be worried, basically. 9 minutes later, former UK Independence Party leader Nigel Farage has told Fox News this is a new low in the sense that the explosions appear to have targeted children. It is worth noting that while Greater Manchester Police are keeping terrorism high on the agenda in terms of assessing this attack, it has not yet been confirmed. This is going to be a very big shock for the country. Actually, terror, open door immigration have played relatively low roles in the election so far. He is basically trying to minimize the damage of, minimize the impact going on damage control. He doesn't want, if this was a terror attack, he doesn't want them to think that they were able to disrupt the elections. And, we do know it was a terror attack, and so it does make sense to downplay that, because remember, there were the snap elections that have been pushed up in the UK for a lot of the seating in the parliament, and so this could actually have an effect on elections, and that may have been part of the motive, but as we'll find out later, that likely isn't the motive. There are no claims regarding the attack yet, but ISIS supporting social media accounts have been reported to have been celebrating the incident. This is 4 minutes later. And I did show you the jihadists taking responsibility on behalf of ISIS. 8 minutes later, Nigel Farage tells Breitbart London, "We have literally not even debated immigration, let alone security so far in this election. All the reasons people voted for Brexit have been airbrushed from the debate. The Brexit leader was keen to stress how there has not yet been a motive or suspect confirmed, and how the last nail bomb in the United Kingdom was used by an anti-gay neo-Nazi. I think he's just trying to downplay all of this now. He doesn't want people jumping to conclusions because that can lead to false information, which happens early in these events, So everything's based off rumors, and it really is best to wait a little bit, which is part of the reason I didn't put a video earlier. I wanted the actual information to come out, not the false stuff. He stated his belief, however, that Labour leader Jeremy Corbyn, who is perceived as soft on terrorism and security issues, would be the most likely to suffer politically ahead of the UK general election on June 8th. I think that's obvious. I mean, even if it wasn't a terror attack, it just puts the fact that it could have been back in the minds of people, and the fact that it did turn out to be a terror attack really puts it in the minds of people. But not that Jeremy Corbyn was set to win anyways, but this should make it even more of a blowout. 3 minutes later, further eyewitness reports suggest a nail bomb may have been used. We've already heard this, but Gary Walker, who was at the show with his wife and 2 daughters, told the New York Times he heard a massive bang and saw a flash. The New York Times reports he turned and realized that his wife had been hurt. Mr. Walker, who is from the northern city of Leeds, said he had a stomach wound and possibly a broken leg. He said he laid down with her and saw metal nuts on the floor. So we are getting into where, the actual victims are starting to come forward. So this is 2059, and the original update came at 1924. So this is about an hour and a half, little over that, that the victims are starting to tell their stories to the media. Reuters suggests a suicide bomber may be responsible, and this is 1 minute later. So we have a bunch of information here. Initial signs point to a suicide bomber as a cause of a blast at a music venue in Manchester, England, that killed 19 people and injured 50. 2 U.S. officials who spoke on condition of anonymity said on Monday. British police said they are treating the explosion at a concert for U.S. singer Ariana Grande as a terrorist incident. Now I want you to keep in mind that this was a terrorist attack, and I want you to keep in mind that this was mainly children, because these are some pretty important facts that are going to come together later. UK, we have a 26-minute gap here, and then it says UK Prime Minister Theresa May has issued a statement on the attack. So I wonder if the 26-minute gap here is because the media outlets know she's about to make a statement, and they were waiting on her to make that statement. It says, we are working to establish the full details of what is being treated by the police as an appalling terrorist attack. Ms. May went on to add, all our thoughts are with the victims and the families of those who have been affected. And I think it's interesting and very, very good, very important, that's the word I'm looking for, that she did call it a terrorist attack when the information was available, where a lot of leaders wouldn't have. Because this initial statement, a lot of people are going to hear this, it's and then, believe it or not, a lot of people try to tune this out. They don't want to hear about it constantly, so they stop watching the news and stuff, and this may be the only statement they hear. And then you start getting, the false narratives and the fights politically back and forth. So it's important that first statement by the prime minister, by the leaders there, they're actually coming out saying it's a terrorist attack because they know it. The evidence is there at this point. 21:31. So 5 minutes after, Dr. Sebastian Gorka noted the attack occurred on the anniversary of the killing of soldier Lee Rigby. Dr. Gorka, an advisor to U.S. President Donald Trump, tweeted that the attack occurred on the same day as Rigby's murder, which took place 4 years ago. Dates matter to jihadi terrorists, he wrote. So keep that in mind, that, you know, there are important dates, and if you're ever, going out or, like in the U.S., September 11th is an important date. We are more likely to be attacked on September 11th. Be more careful on those dates. But you don't have to get ridiculous about it. In the, very few people are actually the victims of terror attacks. It's just, if you're going to, if you're going to like a major event, like a concert or something, make sure, if it's an important event or an important date, make sure you have, a full plan in case something does happen. 21:55 Eastern Standard Time. So quite a gap again, 24 minutes. Witness claims there was a total lack of security at the concert, and I want you to pay close attention to this witness because he has some interesting information. Eyewitness Chris Pauley appeared on Tucker Carlson on Fox News this evening and said that there was very little security at the Ariana Grande concert. I've been to concerts before, and sometimes you get patted down or have to empty your pockets. There was absolutely nothing at this concert tonight, he said. Now, earlier, remember I said most people who go to the Ariana Grande concerts are children. I don't know this for sure, but I have an inkling that the reason there may have not been pat-downs is because you don't want to really pat down a bunch of children. It could be politically damaging, and there's room for abuse, and it's not really what you want kids to go through to go to a concert, so that could be part of the reason.
Tonight, I've been to concerts before, and sometimes you get patted down and get told to empty your pockets. There was absolutely nothing at this concert tonight. We just literally got our ticket scanned and was straight in. But so that was going into the concert, so there's no security whatsoever on the outside where the explosion took place.
So anybody could have brought anything into where the bomb went off?
Yeah, anyone. As we left, because there were so many young children in there and teenagers, and as we in the foyer where the explosion took place, as I was walking through, I said to my partner,
now listen closely to what he's saying. He said there's a bunch of children inside, but look at this, there's a lot of people outside too. And he's gonna mention something really important here. So, and this is something that you could use to protect yourself in the future if, if you're in this type of situation.
There was lots of parents stood there, and I said, look at them all waiting for the kids, because I'd never seen it like that before, like so many people. So obviously they was waiting for the children to come out. So they would have been the people. Well, there was the people, because 20 seconds later from us walking to the steps, that's when it went off. So tonight.
Okay, so what they did here, you have a concert full of children being brought by their parents, and they are targeting those children, but they're not only targeting the children inside, they're targeting the parents that are waiting for the children on the outside. So this means if you're, at a concert, maybe you don't want to all congregate right at the door, in case an explosion does happen at the entrance. You want to be possibly far enough away where you can see the entrance, but not be involved in an explosion if it happens. And this would, since the parents and children are all there, this would give them potentially more victims. So, they're going for body count. So, that's something interesting to keep in mind. Update 2208. So we've got not quite 10 minutes. Greater Manchester police confirm 19 dead, 50 injured at 6 hospitals and call incident a terror attack. Chief Constable Ian Hopkins gave a brief press conference confirming the number of victims and said the incident is being investigated as terrorism. Hopkins said for people to avoid the area's emergency, workers are still working at the scene. So they're pretty late. I mean, this is all information we knew for a long time, but they want to make sure they get it right. And I guess there's one little snippet. All of the victims went to 6 hospitals. So update 2237. So now we have quite the gap, almost a half hour. Northwest Ambulance Service has released an update on the casualties of the attack. The ambulance service has said that there still remain 19 fatalities and the number of injured has increased to 59. And that's where we're at now. So 19 dead, 59 injured at 6 hospitals. And if you have a family member or you're worried about a potential victim, you can call 0161 856 9400. I believe that number is still working. Still fuck you, independent. And it looks like Tommy Robinson's going crazy. He's got 9 new tweets just while I'm making this video. But I want to go through, if you ever want, major incidences that happen in the UK that are terror attacks, Tommy Robinson is the guy to check out. He's at T Robinson New Era. He's constantly harassed by the police, constantly called a racist and that kind of thing, but I've looked into him extensively. He's not a racist at all, and he will tell the truth. He will give the red pills on incidences like this, and a lot of media will try to hide the truth. But so let's go through some of his tweets. Well, let's see what this is. I don't even know. So
I'm here at Manchester Arena, where tonight there are unconfirmed reports of a bomb going off near the box office at the end of an Ariana Grande concert. I've spoken to witnesses here at the scene who tell me that they were leaving the arena and coming up the stairs when debris fell on them. They heard 2 loud bangs they thought were coming from the station, and I've seen people leaving the building covered in blood on their shirt. There is a huge police presence here that's ever increasing, lots of sirens. I live just over the road and I could hear the explosion as it happened. We'll bring you more as we get it.
So Tommy Robinson was on this pretty quick because these were 7 hours ago, and he gets, I don't know how he does get all this information, but he gets it quick. So, and he gets so much information. So just to go through it, I'll try to go through it relatively quickly, but then we have the police releasing information. Here's, apparently, I've looked, I can't really see it, but I'll play it and maybe you can. It said, can the explosion and bang seen to the left really be from a speaker blowing up? Because that's what the original false narrative was, is that this was like some sort of speaker Some people were saying balloons popped. But this bomb was way louder. See, I heard.
No!
I heard it, but I didn't see it. So I'll replay it. It's apparently on the left somewhere. And over here.
No!
And then police they start to tell people to avoid the area. Tommy Robinson starts bringing up the fact that there's lots of children. Oh God. Here he is responding to people that are saying it's a balloon popping. Just been in Manchester Arena when a big balloon popped. Everyone freaked out. Sirens everywhere. 99% sure it was a balloon. 100% sure it was. Sorry to laugh, but that's a good response. I mean, how dumb can you be? Who race baited, you stupid little girl? So now he's starting to get into it with this girl. I can't see what the original tweet was. It looks like it got deleted, but as you can see right away what's happening to Tommy Robinson. He's race baiting. And you can see he said nothing of the like. You can go through his whole timeline. He's not race baiting anything. But it looks like that tweet was deleted, so I don't know exactly what was said. And then the police are coming out with more details. And now, he's within an hour, he's recognizing that this is, the anniversary of Lee Rigby's murder. And Tommy Robinson was actually quite involved with Lee Rigby, knew Lee Rigby. If I remember correctly, so this is probably close to Tommy Robinson's heart. And this is apparently where it happened. It says Jihadi Ali Dawa and his group calling on Muslims in Manchester not to attend music concerts. Drake and Arena UK. So now he's doing some investigating and finding some interesting information because he knows these Muslim groups. He knows how they operate. And he knows who are the dangerous ones, who's not. He knows exactly how to investigate them, and Tommy Robinson's amazing when it comes to finding this information. So let's listen to this.
And what shocks me is that Muslims are treating Drake like a prophet, like this God, like he's the one who's going to save us on the day of judgment, yeah? And secondly, what they're doing is they're assuming the best in Drake and assuming the worst in me, because they're thinking that what Drake did was against me. Firstly, where is your evidence that he's talking to me? Because there's been news articles and videos besides mine, and in my video I specifically said I don't have clear-cut evidence, but I said that's besides the point. I'm referring to the sisters and brothers who attended that, right? And I've got people assuming the worst in me and assuming the best in Drake, like he's going to save you on the day of judgment or something. Not that I am. Anyways, what's even more shocking is I was in the comment section and I'm reading people saying, Alhamdulillah, all praises to Allah that you clarified this point. Now I can start listening to your music again. And I'm like, wow.
So as you can see, he's upset that people are listening to music. And it says they're now targeting our children. For fuck's sake, England, wake up. Exactly, England, wake up. I think England is waking up, though. And I think all of the West is waking up. It's places like Germany that have the furthest to go. But I think you're going to see all countries, I think, are going to deal with, waking up to the Islamic threat differently. I think the U.S. is going to be the boldest, and they're going to see the issue the most clearly and have the strongest response. But other countries will deal with it in their own way. Everybody's not going to bury their head in the sand. But that doesn't mean everybody's going to go to the extremes that say the United States will to help combat it. I mean, some countries are just going to be more willing to accept terror in their country, and to, the cost-benefit analysis they do is going to end up on more terror attacks to allow more people in and basically be more in what they see it as more moral. And this is going to, center around immigration, where the United States is going to close down immigration quite a bit from these areas. We already have. Some countries are just because I know people in the United States that think like this. Some countries have more of these people where they just say, you just have to accept the terror attacks because you can't look down upon the whole group. You can't ban a whole group or people from an entire area because of a few bad actors. The thing is, a few bad actors can do a lot of damage, and a few bad actors, the amount of bad actors that you will allow in your country will go up significantly. If you leave holes, you will become a target. So not only will you allow a higher percentage of the attacks in, you will invite a greater number of attack attempts. So it's double whammy. And people really need to wake up to the threat of Islamism and jihadism and start fighting these concepts. They're not just, this isn't just about Islam as a religion. This is about Islam as an ideology, much more than it is about Islam as a religion. Or I should say Islamism as an ideology, or jihadism as an ideology. Says armed police seem to be working to clear the area around the arena. Armed response officers are running to check the surrounding area. Remember, the UK police don't get to have weapons normally, so this is like pretty intense for them, for their police to have weapons. An injured man is seeing some of this stuff. I'm not going to play because he puts all of it. If there's a victim bleeding and stuff, he'll put that on his timeline. Armed police dragging someone out of a car. Anyone still not think this is a terrorist attack? Now, all of these are still within, an hour or two, within an hour of the event happening.
Fucking armed police, man.
I believe that is him talking.
Oh shit.
So I'll just replay this for you.
Fucking armed police, man.
So the guy was
shit.
taken from this car. He is saying that because of the force used while dragging the person out of the car, that it's more likely a terrorist attack than a balloon popping. If this explosion turns out to be an Islamic attack on children at a music concert, it's a big game changer. Massive. This can't continue. I think he's got a point. I think if you're an Islamist, what you're thinking is you want to put terror into the young crowd you want them to fear from an early age what you can do so that they don't grow up to, so when they grow up, they fear attacking you, they fear you in general, they see you as powerful. But it's from the perspective of, a Western citizen. I think most people rise up, and it actually makes people want to engage and want to take action. Because there's just a certain amount of barbarism that, we protect our children in ways that they might not fully understand if they're not from the West. Now, some Islamists are from the West, but most of the leaders are not. Says BBC just had a bloke on picking up kids. Says 20 to 30 deaths, mostly kids and disabled. Like, we didn't know who it would be. So now here's a guy taking credit. He said, #Islamic State. Are you forget our threat? This is the just terror. We have more. So more Islamic State taking credit for it. I won't show you that. You can go look for it if you want. 6 hours from now. It says, Tom Winter, NBC News, UK authorities suspect a possible suicide bomber responsible for an incident at Ariana Grande concert in Manchester, sources say. So, look how much, if you just followed Tommy Robinson's timeline, look at how much information he's giving you. This is look at the Breitbart London, how many updates they had. And Tommy Robinson's got pretty much everything these other media outlets are covering and more. But he is going to throw in some language, and he is fighting a culture war, He wants to wake people up, so you are going to see a lot of comments like this mixed in. His timeline isn't a newsreel. Tommy Robinson will be hoping this is a terror attack, always using tragic events to promote his hate rhetoric. And he says, is this stupid bitch for real? Now, just think about what a stupid comment this is by Lauren. This is an actual terror attack. Nobody hopes that it's a terror attack, because someone like Tommy Robinson doesn't have to hope it's a terror attack. Plenty of terror attacks are happening to point to all the time. And what is he saying? I'm going through a lot of his information. Give me any information that has been hate rhetoric. This is someone that hasn't woken up to the threat of Islamism. They don't understand they are in a war, whether they like it or not. They don't understand that if ISIS or some of these other extremists, jihadis, Islamists, they would take her rights away in a heartbeat. They're taking, it's already, a lot of it has happened in the UK. She wouldn't, women's rights are greatly reduced under extreme Islam. So, Tommy Robinson, he doesn't have to hope this is a terror attack. Because if it's not, then he'll just point to the next one. He wants the terror attacks to stop. So, if this was an accident or something, obviously it's not, but it would be much better for this to be an accident than a terror attack. Because an accident is truly a one-off. A terror attack is something that usually happens more than once. It says, typical labor radical bullshit. They have just massacred kids, you silly twat. Don't get much more radical than that. Interesting how this tweet is unavailable, isn't it? So, looks like another tweet that was deleted. What the fuck? And it just shows you Tommy Robinson is on top of he's getting stuff changed. He's getting people to remove stupid tweets, and a lot of times these are like, he's not just going after nobodies. Usually he's going after people that have power, quote unquote journalists that have their heads stuck in the sand. And anytime you say anything bad about Islamism, all of a sudden they go nuts about how it's hate rhetoric. So this says, what the fuck? An explosion has just happened in my hometown, and you're only bothered about what Tommy Robinson's reaction will be? Truth hurts. So, Tommy Robinson has his supporters too. Typical Muslim response: blame everyone else apart from your fellow brothers. Because someone said, how do we know that isn't you? Amazing. They're like, how could you possibly try to blame Tommy Robinson for something like this? Please tweet. This is mega important. Anyone who has children at the Manchester, I forgot what the name of it is, but the arena watching Ariana Grande, there is a woman who has commented on Greater Manchester Police saying she has about 50 kids with her at the premiere, and it's Paula Robinson. So, that's interesting, I don't know exactly who Paula Robinson is. If that's his wife or his mother, I'm not sure. Apparently, this is that journalist that he's asking for people to DM him. So anyways, I think that's good enough. He's talking about Lee Rigby here, which I brought up. So let's go up, and I don't know what these are, but let's see what the last 12 tweets have been. Then we will get tough on Muslims wreaking havoc in the UK. The men who raped Rockdale and 3 Gurks are back walking our streets. So this is about how Muslims often get off easy. They'll rape women, and then the system sticks their head in the sand, lets them out, and we know that people who do crimes often do commit more crimes once they get out. So, and they get almost no punishment often. And what does that tell you? When you get almost no punishment after doing a very serious crime, it tells you that you can get away with it. And to give you some of Tommy Robinson's politics, we need mass deportations of terrorists and their families who harbor them. No more sitting and waiting for them to strike terror on our soil. I think most people can agree with that, right? To get rid of terrorists, deport them. I'm in no doubt that the jihadists who waged holy war in Manchester will have been known to our security services. Well, we'll see about that. But let me tell you, this man is usually right. So, if you want to see if he's predictive in nature, here you go. I've listened to him on many streams, giving interviews all over YouTube. I watched a documentary about him, and everything the man said has come true. He's talked about future attacks, how the media's going to treat the attacks, how society is going to protect Islamists, and how the police are going to cover up crimes and all sorts of things. And he's quite predictive and almost always right. He also, notice here, he says, when will we get tough on Muslims wreaking havoc in the UK? The men who raped Rockdale on 3 Gurks are back walking our streets. Okay, so notice he says the men. That's no accident. I mean, they were in this situation, they probably all were men, but it's Tommy Robinson's conclusion or observation that most of the damage done by Muslims and Islamists, they're done by the more radical and even a lot of the moderates, but they're done mainly by men, especially younger men that are like, you know, around 20 to 25 type of age. You know, it's not the women that are going around causing most of the problems. It's not the older Muslims that are causing most of the problems. It's young Muslim men. And I say that as a men's rights activist. We can't stick our head in the sand and say that, you know, men aren't the primary problem here. They are. Profiling is helpful, but it's what you do with that profiling. You can't just assume all Muslim men are guilty of something, you know, but that's not what Tommy Robinson does. So he makes another prediction here. Their families will say, we never knew, he was so innocent. You know, that's been common for families who actually are involved. All they have to do usually is say that they weren't involved, and a lot of times they get off. Especially the wives. I mean, I remember that in the United States. Families come here. The man will go do a terror attack. Right before it, the wife will leave, and then the authorities will say, you know, that they have nothing on the wife. So anyways, that's some of the information. He's retweeting some of his older posts, some of his, you know, important information as well. So that's what happened in... Oh, and one last thing. So that's Tommy Robinson's feed. He does have a book, Enemy of the State. I haven't I did not read it yet, but I've heard that it's quite good. So, remember the issue about a lack of security that guy said? Now, I want to show you something that Ariana Grande, going back to, it was in 2015, I believe. A fan gets on stage and just like stands on it for the longest time, and security doesn't do anything. And Ariana Grande doesn't yell at the police, but effectively tells security to be careful with them and tells everyone to chill out, and she's completely naive to the potential threats. Just watch this. It's amazing. She has no idea he is there right now. I mean, what if he had a knife? He could just go up and stab her. Where is the security? That's the guy I was talking about. She doesn't even move. Chill out. Please be gentle. And earlier she said be careful with him. You know, stuff like this is very serious. It's not a laughing matter. So, anyways, that shows it. You do have to wonder if Islamists saw this, if ISIS saw this, and said, "Hey, in Philadelphia, you know, she basically scolded her security for trying to keep her safe." It seems like security is a little lax. Let's, use that concert, and go after that concert because we have a much more likelihood of success. You do have to wonder. Anyways, that's that. I hope you guys have a great day. And despite the terrible information we received, but life does go on for the rest of us, and society will continue. We have to continue to live our lives, and you can't live in fear of, really, the terror attacks are still very unlikely to happen to people. So you got to keep it in perspective, but you also can't ignore what's going on. So have a great day, guys, and like and subscribe. Please comment, let me know if there's any topics you want me to talk about or what your thoughts are about this issue. And I'll consider your topic or possibly respond to what you say. Bye, guys.